Welcome, film enthusiasts, to another exciting episode of The Film Files, your portal to fascinating stories from the world of cinema. Today, we rewind to the era of 1958 to explore the war film, The Silent Enemy. Starring Laurence Harvey, this film dives into the heroic saga of Lieutenant Lionel Buster Crabb during World War II. Let's embark on this underwater adventure, comparing its cinematic narrative with the real-life events that inspired it. Our cinematic journey begins in 1941, in the throes of the Second World War. The Italians' lethal new weapon, the manned torpedo, wreaks havoc on the British Navy, severely damaging two battleships, the HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Valiant, during a raid on Alexandria. The threat of this new weapon looms large, and the British fear it could give the Italians the upper hand in the Mediterranean, threatening their naval base at Gibraltar. To counter this silent enemy, Lieutenant Lionel Buster Crabb, played with gusto by Laurence Harvey, is assigned to Gibraltar. Crabb, an expert in bomb disposal, assembles a small team of divers to thwart the Italian attacks and defuse their underwater explosives. In the midst of this high-stakes conflict, we meet Antonio Tomolino, an Italian specialist in underwater operations, stationed in neutral Spain, secretly surveilling the British base at Gibraltar and plotting fresh assaults. The film reaches a critical juncture when Crabb and his divers recover a damaged Italian manned torpedo after a botched attack on a cruiser in Gibraltar. The team sets to work repairing it, an endeavor led by Petty Officer Thorpe, who assumes command of the physical and diving training. As the movie progresses, we witness a series of thrilling operations, daring dives into Gibraltar Harbor, attempts to recover confidential documents from a wrecked aircraft, and even an audacious undercover mission in Algeciras. Here, Crabb makes a significant discovery: the interned Italian ship Ultera, harboring a secret underwater door, serving as the launching pad for the menacing manned torpedoes. The climax builds up to a momentous counterstrike. Despite a lack of official authorization, Crabb, empowered by his unwavering determination and a repaired manned torpedo, stages a preemptive assault on the Ultera, decimating the ship, the workshop, and the crew. This daring act of defiance ensures the safety of a British convoy leaving Gibraltar. Steering The Silent Enemy behind the scenes was British writer and director William Fairchild, known for his devotion to authenticity. The screenplay, penned by Marshall Pugh, an author and screenwriter with a military background, lends an air of realism to the narrative. However, as with most films based on real events, the film does take creative liberties, diverging from historical accounts to augment the dramatic impact. For instance, in the film, Crabb and his team are portrayed as the lone innovators of underwater mine disposal techniques. In reality, these advancements were the result of a collective effort involving multiple teams in the Royal Navy. The Silent Enemy remains a riveting depiction of the lesser-known underwater battles of World War II. Importantly, it set a new standard for underwater action sequences, directly influencing the iconic scenes in the 1965 James Bond film Thunderball. Unfortunately, Crabb's life took a tragic turn in the years following the events depicted in the film. In a controversial episode in 1956, 8 years after The Silent Enemy was set, Crabb vanished during a dive in Portsmouth Harbor. According to writer Peter Wright, Crabb was sent to investigate the propeller of a Soviet cruiser, a new design that naval intelligence wanted to examine. The cruiser was at the moment on a diplomatic mission to the UK and was anchored in Portsmouth Harbor. The circumstances of his disappearance remain shrouded in mystery to this day, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories. Years later, a Russian who had been on board the Soviet cruiser claimed that the Soviets were expecting him that night, and that he dived into the dark and dirty waters beneath the cruiser, hunted down Crabb, and slit his air hose and his throat with a knife. The Silent Enemy has its interesting parts, but it suffers from a slow pace. Also, there are some attempts at humor that doesn't quite work for me. The interesting parts are definitely the underwater sequences. They are well made, and it's very clear that they must have been an inspiration for Thunderball years later. That's a wrap for this episode of The Film Files, where we dive deep into the underwater warfare of the 1958 film The Silent Enemy. If you enjoyed this cinematic exploration, Don't forget to tune in for more engaging insights from the mesmerizing world of film. Until then, keep watching, keep discovering.